Hello children, Gravedigger Queen here. Pull up a rock and soothe yourself by the campfire. I have received another tale from Zach Valentino. Mama likes the name of this one. The devil lives down here. I got a little story about the devil, but I don't think I'm gonna divulge that information till after this tale. I don't need you having preconceived notions of the devil. Well, more than what it is already. This one gets a little scary, lovers, so find someone and hold 'em tight. Souls are bound and darkness blight. Pray that you survive the night. I present to you, under the full moon's light, a new tale for your delight. The Devil Lives Down Here by Montsho Shelby. I was editing a story on a cursed Nintendo Wii when I got a call from Harley. She told me that bodies had been appearing out in Laveau, washing up from the bayou. I told her, of course they were. It was a town so batshit that insane people ran an asylum, and the asylum was basically the pillar of their entire community. She said that there was a story there. I told her that might be true, but we didn't need to go anywhere near that place to find it. This wasn't abstract danger. This was clear and present. If we were going anywhere near Laveau, we were basically on our own. There was no guarantee the law would help, or anyone else for that matter, if things went pear-shaped. I emphatically put my foot down. We could not do this one. But of course, Harley took it as a challenge and did it anyway. I now am driving down to Laveau as fast as my van can go, attempting to figure out where Harley went off to. I got a text that said she was on the outskirts of Laveau approximately 24 hours ago. Then I received no other information. Damn her for doing this. She wasn't there when I went through that hell the first time, so she didn't carry the same open wound as I did. When I got to the sleepy town of Laveau, I shuddered as the asylum shadow towered over the landscape on the lone solitary hill. Just looking at it, it was as if I could feel its eyes watching me, as if it knew I was here. I asked around, and of course everyone had seen them, and they had no problem telling me as such. I was told by multiple sources that a beautiful woman and two other people who I didn't know ventured into the swamp to investigate the bodies that were washing up. Of course, the citizens of Laveau seemed ambivalent about it all and asked me why the hell would I want to go up there. Some dude named Bill said to me, "Why not let sleeping dogs lie?" I asked Bill about himself, and he told me he used to work up in Laveau Asylum. I had heard a story like that. I didn't mention to him the shit I went through with the last Bill I met up here. I ventured into the woods after doing a little light foraging for supplies. I was gonna need knee-high boots, several changes of socks, and an outfit to match. I had spent a night trudging through the bayou in the dark, and it was one of the most uncomfortable things I have ever done, next to sex in a Kia Sportage. I called Harley several times, but my phone began slowing down when I got closer to the swamp, so I understand why I couldn't get through. I figured the only way I was going to find her was to actually work the case, and if I did, I would eventually run into her because we would come to some of the same conclusions. If I started in the day, at first light, it'd give me the time I'd need to find her, but I wouldn't be able to account for people giving me old or useless information. If I followed the wrong lead, I could be out in the woods up until the wee hours. I didn't want to have to do that again. Harley got her information from a friend that lives out in Georgia who was looking into the local news of Laveau and the surrounding area. So I started by calling her, but that turned out to be a dead end because I think Harley swung around and got her. And I didn't know the other person at all, so I wasn't going to get any help from that. I did manage to find the article that started this entire investigation. The first bodies washed up in Guffer, a little mud town a few miles out of Laveau. It's one of those blink and you'll miss it type of places. I pulled up there at first light, and it was the definition of a one-stoplight town. This place was so depressed it made Laveau look like New York by comparison. Guffer was integrated into the swamp, so much so that most of it was either underwater or 2 steps away from it. The road I drove up on was more a path than something man-made, a place that had been driven over enough times to be called a road. I couldn't tell if there actually was a place to stop to ask directions because all the houses looked either built before the reconstruction or hastily cobbled together by people using whatever supplies happened to be there. I found a shop, and the only thing that I could identify it as a shop was a crude sign on driftwood in faded white paint that said bait. There were planks laid down all around this place in lieu of sidewalks. If I took 1 step off the path, I didn't know if my foot would sink into the mud or I'd drop under it. I approached the door with courage, the same courage I would typically reserve for if I was wading into an investigation. I knocked on the door, and a voice so laced in the Cajun patois answered back that I could barely understand it. "Come on in if you're coming." I entered the door with caution. There, in a poor home that looked quite like an environment someone might make in a video game to represent a swamp trapper's space, was a woman. What her age was a complete question mark. If she told me she was 25 or 55, neither answer would have surprised me. The woman was not wrinkled but weathered, not skinny but lean. She sat lounging on a stump, one leg nearly touching swamp water by an open hole in the floor, the other perched on the dead tree. She whittled wood with a knife that looked as if it could just as easily fillet a boar. I couldn't make out what she was trying to carve because it was in its infant stages. "I'm Zach Valentino. I was looking for Harley, right?" she said, not bothering to look at me. "Yeah, did she tell you I was coming?" "Nah, I figured a pretty boy like you had to be looking for a woman like that." "Like what?" "I don't know. Perfect. Too perfect. It's like she ain't even no real person." I laughed. "What you laughing at, boy? You the one chasing her ass, ain't you?" I couldn't combat that logic. I was chasing Harley around. Again. I guess you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be so worried about her. She's a grown-ass woman. "Oh no, she went in them woods, and you should be very worried about her," said the Cajun woman. "She was out investigating." I know. Bodies that done popped up out here didn't have the decency to stay their ass in that ground." "This happens a lot?" The woman looked at me with suspicion. "Why y'all really up here? What y'all get out of none of this here?" she questioned. I stopped because now I had to think about it myself. Why were we doing this? I guess it's just something I have to do. I need to know what exists in the world, you know? "Nah, I don't. You go poking a gator in his asshole, what you think gonna happen? How well you think that gonna go for you?" she said with conviction. "I'll tell you what I done told them. Go your ass back to the city. Go and drink some of that Starbucks, eat some of that McDonald's, 'cause all that's gonna happen here is a few more bodies gonna wash up." "What do you know that I don't?" "Quite a bit, looking like," she said with a chuckle. "Look here, I'll extend you this, 'cause you got that nice ass there. $50 a day, and I guide you through the bayou. Got my skiff right over there." I thought about it, and seeing I didn't know shit about this place and couldn't even wing it, what she was asking was reasonable. Though I had a bad experience with my guide last time I ventured into the swamp, so I was still a bit leery about doing it again. "No, that won't be necessary. I can at least rent you that little tugger over there. Ain't got no motor, but you look plenty strong. You could paddle your way through that there water. You gotta leave a deposit though, just in case you gone and get yourself killed." I took her up on the paddle boat and asked her to point me towards where the bodies washed up. She told me that there was very little new information to find because the swamp would whisk it all away. Chances were she was right, but I was looking for Harley at this point over just cobbling together a case.